again, there's nothing like a home playoff game, and you just can't beat it, especially here in Pittsburgh. So hopefully they can pull out that win. And I mean, hopefully the Browns can somehow squeak out a win against the Ravens. I know Lamar Jackson is playing top tier football right now, though. I believe last night he passed Michael Vick's record for most rushing yards by a quarterback. And by the way, that was in 41 less games than Michael Vick. So, and he still has, I think he's second in the league right now with his QBR and passer rating. So I do think Lamar Jackson is just elite right now, and that's some high hopes to hopefully see a loss against the Browns. I just don't really see that happening. I think the most probable thing that's probably going to happen is the Steelers are going to pull that 5 seed and have to travel to Houston, which again, it's not terrible. So you mentioned the injuries too, though. Joey Porter Jr. hopefully coming back. Hopefully this extra time off will help with that as well. You know, he's big in that secondary to help with those takeaways. I said it earlier tonight. Yeah. Their turnover ratio, that turnover margin, is what set the Steelers apart for so long. They were second in the league in turnovers, forcing them and recovering them. They had that plus 17 turnover ratio. And now after these last 3 games, they're at -2. That people are, collecting turnovers instead of the Steelers. And we're not used to seeing that. Maybe if we get JPJ back in there, maybe we'll see a few more turnovers.
Yeah, the defense not doing as well the last couple of games. The last 3 games, they've led over 30 points in each of these games. So the defense not up to par like they were at the beginning of the season. At the beginning of the season, the defense was the strong point for the Steelers team, and especially that secondary with forcing turnovers, which you can correct me, Cass, on this, but they didn't force a turnover last game either. However, right. Russell Wilson goes out and he throws another pick 6, which has been a major issue in these last 2 games, especially that one against the Eagles. Whenever that was it, or it was Baltimore, that was game changing at the end of it. Like that could have made or broke the game, and it broke it for them. And the Ravens ended up taking it away in that one. And then at the end of the first quarter against the Chiefs, it was the same thing. That's what shifted momentum, because there's just a lot of mistakes right now going on with this team, and where they were once strong with Russell Wilson not throwing picks and this secondary being stronger, that's not their strength right now.
Yeah, and again, I mean, Russell Wilson was sacked 5 times. I don't know if that's a protection issue. I don't think he's holding on to the ball too long. I said that the other day. So I don't really know what the issue is with the offensive line. Like, they had those injuries in the beginning of the season, but most of the guys are back now. So yeah. I just don't really I mean, James Daniels still out, Dan Moore still out. Those are 2 big missing pieces. But Zach Frazier, he's a great offensive line. I just don't really see what's going on there. I don't really get what's going on there. But, like we said, hopefully they can turn it around during this mini bye. I think it'll be nice, after having 3 games in 11 days to have this break for them. I think they really need the rest. And they had a gauntlet of a schedule. Not only was it the 3 games in 11 days, but it was some of the toughest teams in the AFC. But again, if they're going to be a true playoff contender, they have to go out and be able to compete with these guys. And they've proven they can't really do that. So hopefully something changes. But again, it is week 17. It might be a little too late now for that to happen. But all right, guys, we are going to head to break. Give us a call, though. We want to hear from you. 412-575-2600. All right, guys, welcome back. This is our GMC Sierra tweet of the night. Greg Gumbel passing away, the announcement of his passing, just so devastating. I think a lot of people were pretty shocked to see this. I know he was pulled off of March Madness last year. Just such a legend, a voice that we all grew up listening to. And it's just so tragic to see him go, and definitely our thoughts and prayers here at KDKA are with the Gumbel family and anyone whose lives he affected. I mean, I talked to even people here at KDKA, who have said that he's come to Pittsburgh and visited here and, been so kind. So definitely a devastating loss in the sports media world, and just our thoughts and prayers are with the Gumbel family. Switching gears, though, back to the Steelers. We do have some callers, so let's go to Buddy in Washington. Buddy wants to talk Russ Wilson.
Yeah, do you guys think that we're going to have Russell next season, or do you think we could maybe go and get Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins. know what? I don't hate it, to be honest. Yeah, he's injury prone, but I feel like Kirk Cousins kind of fits the Pittsburgh, mentality, the Pittsburgh mold. That would be something. I will say this. I don't think you shovel out millions and millions of dollars to give Russ an extension. I would hope that it's not, some $35 million deal for 1 year or something like that, what the Broncos are having to pay him for this season. Like, I'm not sure. I don't like having Russ. Like, right now the Steelers are paying Russ $1 million because the Broncos have to pay the rest of that contract out. I don't know if he's worth that, to be quite honest with you, Suze. As harsh as that sounds, he's just getting a little bit older. We're seeing the age, and I don't know.
Oh, look, I'm going to call a spade a spade. You're saying it because you hope that Justin Fields gets an extension. Let's be serious, Cass. If I'm, Mike Tomlin and the gang, I think that Russell Wilson has proven why he does fit well here in Pittsburgh. And I don't think it's just because of what he's proven on the field here with this team, but how he's also integrated himself and Sierra, his wife, in this community. I think that he fits the Pittsburgh mold. My brother and his wife, they were talking about how they had his Seahawks jerseys whenever he was a part of that team and how they were so excited whenever he came here to Pittsburgh. And I know there's a ton of other people that enjoy him being here too. I don't think that Justin Fields is going to be the answer. And if you let go of Russell Wilson after this year, I'm not sure what move you make for that QB position. However, Russell Wilson is the first guy that we've seen drive this team like we know this team can do and be the Pittsburgh Steelers way since Ben Roethlisberger.
Wow, that's a bold statement right there, especially after these last 3 games. If he was really lighting it up, I would say, yeah, pay him, but I just think he's going to want a really big contract next year. And I think, I don't know. I don't know, 37 years old, he'll be 38, I just don't know. We see Aaron Rodgers, how he's playing right now with the Jets, and the age is showing a little bit. We'll just say that much. All right, let's go to JD and Beaver. JD, what's going on?
Hi, guys. I like your show. It's a real fresh show, and I love it. I just want to ask you one question. After the Ravens lose next week and Cincinnati wins, what will Tomlin's excuse be? That they're rusty because they were off too long? And that's all I have to say.
Well, I hope they can beat the Bengals. It's going to be very tough. We know how high-powered this offense is, and I think it's reassuring that they've already beaten them once without their starting wide receiver. So that's, they were able to go out and compete with that offense without George Pickens, and now they'll have him. So I think that's a big plus. But, it's going to be a very interesting game. I really don't know what's going to happen in this one, Suze.
I don't think Mike Tomlin is making the excuse that they're rusty by any means.
Yeah.
He said after the last loss that they're just not doing the little things fundamentally right. He knows that what this team is doing is not what this team is capable of doing or what they were doing with how they started the season, even with Justin Fields under center. So I don't think he's making the excuse that this team is rusty because they've lost the last 3 games, and I don't think that will be his excuse if the Steelers lose against the Bengals. However, I think that Mike Tomlin will have that kind of demeanor that, Cass, you love, being the underdog going into this last game because he knows that his back is against the wall right now. He's going to want to get a win, and he's going to want to win that first playoff game in a really long time.
Yeah, and hopefully that comes to fruition. All right, let's go. Tom, Beaver Falls. Tom wants to talk Mike Tomlin.
Hi, Cassidy. Hi.
Hi.
Hope you're feeling better.
Thank you.
And just have a couple comments. I think there's so many problems with the coaching staff. Clock management is the biggest thing we've seen all year long. Mm-hmm. And I just think whenever I listen to the newscast tonight about Gary Dulac saying they have to get back to week 1 and 2, basic fundamentals, that's not where you need a team to be at this point in time. So I'd appreciate your comments at this point.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Tom. Like we've said, Deshaun Elliott said it too after the game. The problems that they're having are week 2 problems, and it's week 17. It's not okay. The only silver lining in this is they do have this extra rest time right now. So do they actually grind a little bit harder? I know today, obviously, they had off. I don't know what this next week of practice is going to look like yet. They haven't sent out the practice schedule yet. But do they hit it a little bit harder next week and hit those fundamentals and just, you know, have longer practices and just really try to hone in on those fundamentals? I mean, I could see that happening.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I don't know the answer to that either. I'm not Mike Tomlin and the gang like I referred to them earlier. But like you mentioned, Cass, these are week 2 type of problems. The fundamentals should be figured out before this point in the season. However, if that's what this problem is just the basic fundamentals, then those should be easier to fix than if it were a bigger issue.
Yeah. I mean, that is the silver lining. Like, hopefully these are easy fixes and they can, you know, hit practice next week, work on the fundamentals and figure it out. And then hopefully it's a different team that we see against the Bengals than we've seen the last 3 weeks, or 3 games in 11 days, but we'll see.